So these are the various thread manufacturing processes. That is, thread can be cast. Thread chasing means it is a thread cutting process which is done on lathe machine. Hmm. And since it is done with the chasing dial, that is thread dial indicator, that's why it is called as the thread chasing. Or since it is done in repeated ways, that is one cut, two cut, three cut, four cut, because the threads are finished, almost 8 to 9 cuts are taken. So that's why uh, it is called the thread chasing, because we are chasing the threads. Then thread rolling is the manufacturing process which is used for mass production. That is, when the quantity is say 1,000 or more, 10,000 pieces, then thread rolling is done. Die threading and tapping. Die threading is a process for external thread cutting, and tapping is the process for internal thread cutting. Mostly these are done manually. You must have seen, plumber doing threading on the pipes. That is what is nothing but die threading, and tapping is actually it is for the internal holes. Tapping. Whenever you say tapping, that means it is supposed to be for threading for internal holes. So it is done with the help of taps, and generally there are three taps. Tapping can also be done by machine also on the drilling machine. That is called as a machine tap. That is machine tapping. That is done with the help of the tapping attachment. Tapping attachment is fixed on the drilling machine, or it can be fixed even on the milling machine also, and can be done. Since it was done in a hurry, that's why I am taking this. Then you have thread milling. So for thread milling, this is the process when you have to cut the pitch, which are very long. Pitch which are very long. Like suppose if you want, in general, the pitch are say 10, M10, M20, or M36, and by 2 mm or by 3 mm. So generally the pitch is up to 4 mm. Generally, the pitch is up to 4 mm. Pitch means it is the distance traveled in one revolution, distance traveled by a nut, or distance traveled by a bolt in one revolution. That is what is called the pitch. And lead is also a pitch, but when there are number of starts, like say two start, three starts. So that's why in this case we talk lead. So lead is equal to pitch into number of starts. Like say suppose if the pitch is say 2 mm, and if the number of starts is 3, then lead is equal to 2 into 3, that is 6 mm. So if the number of start is 3, so suppose if it is a 3 start thread having a pitch of say 2 mm, 3 start thread having a pitch of 2 mm, that means in one revolution it will travel 6 mm. It will travel 6 mm. So the advantage of multi-start thread is you get a faster travel, axial travel, in number of rotation. Like suppose if it is a single, if the pitch is 2 mm, and if it is single start, if the pitch is 2 mm and if it is a single start, that means in one revolution it will advance by 2 mm. But if it is three start, that means in one revolution it will advance by 6 mm. 2 into 3. So lead is equal to pitch into number of starts. Lead is equal to pitch into number of starts. So when thread milling is done when the pitch is more, like say 100 mm or 200 mm. The purpose of having more pitch, 200 mm, is faster travel. If the pitch is 200 mm, that means in one revolution the nut will travel by 200 mm. So this longer pitch are used in material handling. In material handling, mostly in pharmaceutical. So if you see in pharmaceutical industries, there are screw conveyors. Screw conveyors are used for handling the, for conveying the powder, that is medicine powder. So if the rotations are, if the screw is rotating at 100 mm and if the pitch is 200, that means the travel will be, yeah, 200 into 100, 200 into 100. So that will be how much? 200 into 100, that will be 20,000. So that is nothing but 20 meters. That means in 1 meter it will travel by 20 meters. Am I right? 200 into 100 is 20,000, or 2000, it is 2000. So it is 2 meter. That means in 1 minute it will travel by 2 meter. Then thread grinding, it is a process when threads are hardened. When threads are hardened, it gets oxidized, and then the accuracy is lost. Sometimes the threads also get distorted. So that time you have to do thread grinding. So these are the various processes. Thread casting is very rough process and nobody uses this. So the most common process are thread chasing, which is done on lathe machine, and it is manual. If it is mass production, then thread rolling. Hmm. These are the two common processes, that is thread chasing and thread rolling. Thread rolling is for the mass production, and thread cutting on a center lathe, it is done if the quantity is less. If the quantity is less, and you need to set the tool, and this is what I told you, need to set the tool. And remember, if you want to cut, there are various type of threads. If you want to cut V threads, then your threading tool should be of V type. If you want to cut square thread, then your threading tool should be of square shape. If you want to cut buttress thread, then your threading tool should be of buttress. So whatever the shape of thread, that shape has to be given, or the tool has to be ground accordingly, and then you need to set that tool with the help of the center gauge, which is shown in this diagram. So the angle is set. At the same time, the height of the center height of the tool is also need to set. That is, tool holder has to be set at the center. This is the thread dial. I had told you that is thread cutting process. So thread cutting process, it cannot be finished in one cut. It cannot be finished in one cut. It usually takes 8 or 9 cuts. So whenever you are taking a fresh cut, that time you need to match uh, the position of the thread, So for that, the thread dial is used. Then there are two feeds. One is called as the straight feed. So in that case, the tool is plunged on the workpiece, and another is tangential. So in this case, the tool is fed tangentially. Generally, we use this radial feed, this which is common, whereas tangential feed is not much used. Here are some links for thread rolling. Again, the weightage is not very high. 2 marks to 4 marks. And I have been telling you again and again that in case of thread rolling, the diameter of the blank or the diameter of the workpiece should conform to the pitch diameter. Because when you are doing thread rolling, that time the diameter becomes bigger after thread rolling. So it has to be, initially it has to be less, that is equal to pitch diameter, and then after thread rolling it becomes equal to major diameter. That is, suppose if you want to cut M10 threads, and if it's pitch M10 by 1, suppose if the thread to be cut is M10 by 1, then its minor diameter, that is inside diameter, will be 9 roughly. That is, you have to subtract pitch, that is 10 minus 1, so that is 9. You have to just subtract the pitch, and then pitch diameter will be average, so that is nothing but 9.5. Pitch diameter will be 9.5. Kunal, are you understanding? थोड़ा थोड़ा
Yes,
समझ?
thoda.
Okay, good. If you have any doubt, you please feel free to ask. Unfortunately, you don't have practical exposure, so things will become slightly difficult. So M10 by 1, that means outside diameter will be 10 and inside diameter will be 10 minus 1, that is nothing but the minor diameter. So 10 minus 1, that will be 9, and the pitch diameter will be 9.5. If it is M16 by 2, that means M here, M stands for metric, 16 stands for your major diameter, and 2 is nothing but the pitch. So if it is M16 by 2, then the minor diameter or the inside diameter will be 14 and pitch diameter will be 15. So if the threads are to be rolled, then if the threads has to be rolled, then your diameter of the blank should be equal to 15. Then after thread rolling, it becomes 16. We'll go to finishing process and then we'll come to this reciprocating machines. Reciprocating machines are nothing but your shaping and planing, or we'll complete this reciprocating machine first and then we'll go for the finishing process. I'll show the images first. Reciprocating machines are nothing but shear shaping machine, planing machine, and slotting machine. One by one, I will explain you what are those. Planing machine is a huge machine and it is generally used for the larger workpieces. So this is the table of the planing machine on which this is the table. Look at my cursor, and on which this workpiece is mounted. This is how the planer will look like, and this is the mechanism of the planer machine, that is rack and pinion movement is for up and down movement of the tool. Any machine you have to first identify what are the motions. So here this table will reciprocate in a direction which is perpendicular to the screen. Then you can note down four tools. There are four tools mounted on this planing machine. This is one tool, this is second tool, this is third tool, and this is fourth tool. And here the workpiece will be mounted. The workpiece will be mounted here. Now there is a provision for this tool to move in this direction. That is nothing but X direction. At the same time, this tool can be moved up and down also. That is in Z direction. And the table will reciprocate perpendicular to the screen. Similarly, this tool, so you can see the hand wheel. See, with the help of this hand wheel, this tool can be moved radially in and out. At the same time, this tool can be moved up and down. See, you can note this is the screw on which this head is moved up and down. And again, this is the screw on which this head moves in this direction. That means if this is a workpiece, the top surface can be machined. At the same time, the side surface also can be machined simultaneously. So that means three surfaces can be machined here simultaneously. Three surfaces can be machined simultaneously. So this is nothing but the planer with the four heads. So remember any reciprocating machine. So this is a mechanism. So motor is here. This you have a motor here. Then there is an eccentric mounted on the motor shaft. So with the help of the eccentric, the rotary motion is converted into reciprocating motion of the tool. So this is called the clapper box, which you might have learned in CAMD. So the function of the clapper box is during the forward stroke, it will move slowly, and during the return stroke is nothing but idle stroke, it will move fast. Okay, so this is called as the quick return mechanism. This is called the quick return mechanism. So quick return mechanism is nothing but during the forward stroke or during the cutting stroke, the workpiece will move slow, and during the return stroke, the workpiece will move fast. So the clapper blocks is an arrangement that in forward stroke, the tool, this is the tool, the cutting tool will remain in touch, or the cutting tool will remain in contact with the workpiece, this cutting tool. And while the return stroke, the clapper blocks, the arrangement is such that the tool is lifted up. The tool is lifted up, and the workpiece, it moves very fast, so that idle time is reduced. Idle time is reduced. So let's begin with the shaper machine first. So there are three types of reciprocal machine. One is called as the shaper, another is called as the planer, and third is called as the slotting slotting machine. So let's start with the shaper machine. This is how a shaper machine will look like. Just have a look on the machine for a moment. I'll zoom it. So this portion is stable on which the workpiece is mounted. This is a clapper blocks which holds the tool. Now remember, in case of shaping machine, the tool will reciprocate like this. And in case of planing machine, the workpiece or the table reciprocates. The table on which the workpiece is mounted, that reciprocates. Now table can be moved this way, so this can be called as the x-axis, as well as table can be moved up and down also, that is z-axis, and this axis, that is termed as a y-axis. So you have three motions in shaping, and same three motions you will get it in planing as well as in slotting also. So it is basically a reciprocating type of machines, and it can machine horizontal or angular surfaces also. These are the different parts of the shaper. The most important part being this clapper box. This is what is called the ram, which reciprocates. Now, the reciprocating motion is such that during the forward stroke means cutting stroke, like this. This is the cutting stroke. That is, this ram is moving this way. So during the cutting stroke, the motion is slow, and during the return stroke, the motion is fast. So that time this tool gets lifted. Otherwise, that means there should not be any contact of the tool with the workpiece. Otherwise, tool will rub and it will get damaged. So this is called the stroke. So this is the forward stroke and this is return stroke. So simply stroke means a double stroke. Double stroke is also called the only stroke, or stroke is nothing but forward stroke plus return stroke. That is called the stroke. So when I say number of strokes to complete or to machine a workpiece is say 100, that means 100 forward strokes and 100 return strokes. Now this is the vise in which the workpiece is clamped. This black color, this is the workpiece. Now there has to be some arrangement so that workpiece can move perpendicular to the screen, so that entire surface, top surface, can be machined. So the table on which this vise is mounted, in which the workpiece is clamped, it will move perpendicular to the screen. That is what is x-axis. So that the tool can cover up the entire surface. At the same time, now the depth, like say machining around is say 2 mm. So how to remove that 2 mm? So for that, your workpiece has to move up and down. So that up and down motion, that is z-axis motion, is again given by, or it is again given to this table, so that it will move up and down. Now, as I told, quick return mechanism, it is nothing but during the forward stroke, the tool should move fast, and during the return stroke, the tool should move slow. Is it? No. Ulta. During the forward stroke, the tool should move slow, and during the return stroke, the tool should move fast. This is what is called as the quick return mechanism. And feed mechanism is nothing but now the workpiece or the table should move perpendicular to the screen. That is what is called the feed mechanism. Like in case of lathe machine or in case of drill machine, the feed rate is say 0.2 millimeter per revolution. So what is that 0.2 millimeter per revolution? The tool is moving by 0.2 millimeter in one revolution of the workpiece. So here the feed rate is expressed like 0.1 or 0.2 millimeter per stroke. 0.2 millimeter per stroke. The meaning of this is 0.2 millimeter per stroke का मतलब क्या है? In one stroke, the tool or the table will move by 0.2. Now one stroke is nothing but forward stroke plus return stroke. That means at the end of the return stroke, the table will move by 0.2. That means if I am asking you now, suppose if you want to cover the area of say 100 by 200, like say if the width of the workpiece is say 200, which is to be machined, and the length or the breadth is say 100 mm. So 100 mm is say this way and 200 is perpendicular. That means that 100 mm will be covered up by the stroke. The stroke length will be 100, little more than 100, maybe 104, considering approach and overshoot. And number of strokes will be 200 divided by 0.2, because 0.2 is the feed rate, that is 0.2 millimeter per double stroke or per stroke. That means 200 divided by 0.2, that will be will the number of strokes required. So the number of strokes required will be 200 divided by zero point 0.2. So how much it will be? 1000 stroke. 200 by zero point 0.2. If you want to reduce the number of stroke, then you can increase the feed rate. So if you keep the feed rate as say 1 millimeter per stroke, so what will be the number of strokes required? 200 divided by 1. So number of strokes required will be 200. Now this feed rate, that is point, whether to keep 0.2 or 0.1 or 1 mm, that will depend upon the how sharp your tool is or what is the nose radius of the tool. Generally the nose radius is 0.4 say 2 mm, and for the roughing or on an average we can take a nose radius of 0.8. So if the nose radius is 0.8, you can give the feed rate little less than that, maybe around 0.6. And if you want to have a feed rate of say 1 millimeter, then your tool nose radius should be around 1.2 millimeter. So this is what is nothing but the feed. So there are three types of quick return mechanism. One is called as the crank and slotted quick return mechanism. Crank and slotted. What the diagram, what you can see, that is crank and slotted. Another is called as the Whitworth quick return mechanism. Whitworth is nothing but a type of thread you might have learned in CAMD. And third is hydraulic quick return mechanism. Hydraulic shapers are more popular. Hydraulic shapers are more popular. So this is what is your quick return mechanism is. You don't have to study this quick return mechanism because that will not be asked. So it is nothing but having a eccentric. This is what is your motor flange, and this is the motor shaft on which you have this slotted bar, in which this slider moves up and down, and the ram is connected through this connecting rod to the slotted bar. So this slider is connected in such a way that during the forward stroke, the ram moves through the larger angle like this. Larger angle is nothing but B1, B, B2, B1, B, B2 during the forward stroke. And during the return stroke, it moves to the smaller angle. So that's how the more time will be required to complete the larger angle. That means more time will be required for the forward stroke and less time will be required for covering the smaller angle, or less time will be required for return stroke. It means the return stroke, since less time, that means the return stroke will be faster and forward stroke will be slower. So that means more time for the cutting and less time for the return. So this is what the tool or the ram which reciprocates on the workpiece, and at the end of the stroke the table is moved perpendicular to the screen. That is what is called as the feed rate. So this is your feed mechanism. So feed mechanism, again the rotary motion is converted into reciprocating motion. So this is the tool, cutting tool. Again, this feed mechanism will not be asked. So feed is nothing but the distance the tool is moved at the end of the stroke. So one is your quick return mechanism, then second is your feed mechanism, and third is your stroke length. Stroke length. Like stroke length is nothing but, now look at this, how to adjust the stroke length. Like I gave an example, like say now this is 100 mm. So your stroke should be around 100 mm, maybe 104, considering 2 mm approach and 2 mm overshoot. Suppose if your workpiece is larger, say 200, then your stroke length should be 200. Or if it is say 300, then your stroke length will be 300, little more than 300. So there has to be a provision. There has to be a provision for adjusting the stroke length, because if the width of this workpiece is to 100, you cannot keep stroke of 300. That will be idle movement. That will be idle movement. So there has to be a provision for setting the stroke length. So this is what the drawing which explain how to control the stroke length or how to adjust the stroke length. Again, you did not have to study this, but you have to remember that there is a provision for adjusting the stroke length. There is a provision for feed mechanism, and there is a provision for quick return mechanism. Yeah. Now this can be asked for 2 marks. What are the different types of shaper? That is, or enlist the types of the shaper. So how the shaper or how the shaping machines are classified? Like this question can be asked for the 2 marks. So these are the types of the shaper. So it can be classified according to the type of the mechanism which are used for giving the reciprocating motion to the ram, because now by now you know that the ram reciprocates. We don't have a motor which will give a reciprocating output. The output of the motor will be always rotary, isn't it? That is rotation of the shaft. So this conversion, how it can be done? It can be done by various ways, and this is the first classification of the shaper, that is crank type, gear type, and hydraulic type. So hydraulic type में hydraulic, that is cylinder pistons are used for converting the rotary motion into the reciprocating. Gear type में gears are used for converting the, and so on. Then shapers are classified. Generally, these hydraulic type shapers are popular. Second classification is according to the position and travel of the RAM. That is horizontal type, vertical type, and traveling head type. So what the diagram I showed you, that was horizontal type. Vertical type shaper machine is nothing but your slotting machine. Then it is classified according to the type of the design of the table. So it can be standard shaper or universal shaper. Universal shaper means it can be tilted at any angle. This is how your shaping machine will look like. And as I told, hydraulic type is more common. This is a crank type. So this is what your mechanism is. The motor is house steer, and it is converted into eccentric motion. Then here, this is the ram which reciprocates. And look, the cutting tool is mounted here. And see that ram can be tilted. The ram can be tilted. Hydraulic shaper में you have cylinder piston arrangement, and in geared you have gears. A typical horizontal type gear shaping machine will look like this. This is a vertical type, and this vertical type shaping machine is also called the slotting machine. Remember, many times in the questions, huh, it is asked what is vertical type shaping machine. So vertical type shaping machine is nothing but the slotting machine. So in which, see, this is the tool which moves up and down. So the forward stroke or the cutting stroke is down. So that has to be slow, and the return stroke, or the upstroke, has to be very fast, because that is idle time. So when the tool is moving up, so that time there has to be a provision so that the tool is lifted. So you have a clapper box. So clapper box is available everywhere. That is on shaping machine, on planing machine, as well as in slotting machine. So all reciprocating machine will have clapper box. The function of the clapper box is what? That it has to lift the workpiece during non-cutting stroke. And in the cutting stroke, the contact of the tool with the workpiece has to be made. Traveling head type shapers are not used commonly. This is your universal type shaping machine. So universal type may you can have attachment. That means in universal type you can do drilling also, you can do milling also. But again, this type of shaping machines are very less common. How specification? See, this is again a question which is asked for the 2 mark. How the machines are specified? Like in case of lathe machine, it is specified by swing. Swing is nothing but the maximum diameter which can be turned over the guide ways. Admit is nothing but the maximum length of the workpiece which can be accommodated in a lathe machine. Drilling machine, how to specify drilling machine? What is the maximum size of the drill that it will be able to drill in ms. Similarly, you have shaping. There only one parameter is enough for your shaping machine, that is what is the stroke. So normally it is said मेरे पास 1 फीट का shaper है. 1 फीट का shaper है, that means what does it mean? That the stroke length, that is 1 feet. The stroke length is 1 feet. The rest of the parameters, these are all supporting parameters. But the most important parameter is like stroke. So usually it is 1 feet. The shaping machine shapers are 1 feet shapers, or 2 feet, or maximum is 3 feet. So 3 feet is around 900 millimeter. Other parameters like in shaping machines, what is the table movement in X direction, in Y direction, in Z direction. Similarly, in drilling machine also, what is the movement? In lathe machine also, what is the speed range? What is the feed range? So these are the various other parameters. But the most important parameters, बोलते हैं ना कि मेरे पास 4 फीट का लेथ है, मेरे पास 4 फीट का लेथ है मतलब क्या? People will understand how much, the space it will occupy. So 4 फीट मतलब it is small. मेरे पास 10 फीट का है, that means it is big. और मेरे पास 8 इंच का लेथ मशीन है. 8 इंच का लेथ मशीन मीन्स क्या? It will rotate. It will rotate, or it will turn 8-inch diameter workpiece. So in specification of Shepang machine, that is can be asked for the true mass. The important parameter is it can cut. It can cut 1 feet stroke. The stroke length is 1 feet. Yeah. Let's begin with this. Again, this is shaping machine only. So this is a workpiece which is mounted on the table, and this is a tool. This is what is called as the clapper blocks. This is called as the ram, and you can see this swelling arrangement. You can see this swelling arrangement. Swelling arrangement matlab this tool head can be swelled. This tool head can be swelled so that you can cut angular surfaces. You can cut angular surfaces. This is what is called as the stroke length. This is your forward stroke. Forward stroke is nothing but the cutting stroke. Then this is return stroke, that is non-cutting stroke, and together it is called as the double stroke. Together it is called as the double stroke. Again, there is a provision that speed. See, there is one quick return mechanism. Quick return mechanism means, like say, if forward stroke is taking 1 minute, the return stroke will take half a minute. And there is also provision that the speed of the strokes, the speed of the stroke can be varied. That is nothing but the velocity. Like it can be varied from 5 meters per minute to 10 meters per minute. Huh? So 5 meters per minute means in a minute, 1 minute, the speed of the cutting tool will be 5 meters. That means it will cover an area of 5 meter in 1 minute. That is what is 5 meter. Generally, the feed rates in shaping, then slotting, are and in surface grinding also are around 7 meters per minute. 7 meters per minute. What are the different operations that can be performed? So it can be used for machining horizontal surfaces, vertical surfaces, angular surfaces, also for cutting slots, grooves, keyways, splines. Even you can cut gears also with the, of course, if you want to cut, sorry, if you want to cut splines or gears, then you need some attachment that is called as the indexing attachment. If a sketch is asked maybe for 5 marks for the shaper machine, then you can reproduce this. But since the syllabus is vast and there are so many questions which can be asked, there is less probability that this question can be asked. If at all, the sketch, uh, it can be asked for the lathe machine. But these are the simple 2D diagrams which you can practice. These are the principal parts of the shaping machine. Like it has base, column, ram, table, cross rail, saddle. Then this what you can see, this is a mechanism for your feed rate, that is to move the table in a direction perpendicular to the screen. And this is a quick return mechanism. This is a quick return mechanism which is used for changing the speeds of the changing the speeds of the RAM. This is a closer view. You have a table here which can be moved up and down. These are the guideways. Again, you have one screw, that is vertical screw, for moving this table up and down, and you have this crossfit screw. So this can be automatic, as well as there is a provision to move this manually. That is, you can fix up a handle here and table can be moved in this direction. So if I call this X, so you can move this table in X, and you can move this table in Z also. And Y is nothing but given to the RAM. So the principal parts or the important parts of the shaper are cross rail, table, RAM, and tool head. This is a clapper blocks which you might have studied, you might have modeled in your CAMD lab practice. And the function of the clapper blocks, I have been telling you again and again that during the return stroke, the tool is lifted up, so there is no contact with the workpiece. So the cutting edge doesn't chips off; it remains intact. So the tool life will be more. There is no rubbing. This is how the shapers are classified depending on the position of the ram travel, according to the cutting stroke, according to the driving mechanism, and according to the table design. If I want to talk according to the driving mechanism, it is crank type, gear type, and hydraulic shaper. Then according to table design, it is standard shaper, universal shaper, and so on. This is a crank and slotted link mechanism for the shaper machine. Crank and slotted. Why it is called the crank and slotted link? Because there is a slotted link and there is a crank here. So this is, as you can see in this diagram, this is a crank and this is a slotted link. So that's why it is called the crank and slotted link. And as I told you, during the forward stroke, the angle will be more, and during the return stroke, the angle will be less, so that it takes less time during return stroke and more time during the forward stroke. So the most important parameter for specifying a specific shaping machine is the stroke length. So 1 feet, 1.5 feet, or 10 inches, 8 inches, that way. There are another parameters like what is the type of drive, what is the power input, what is the floor space required, what is the weight of the machine, what is the cutting to return ratio, and what is the feed rate. These are the another parameters to completely specify the shaping machine. Hydraulic shaper are common, so, and this diagram is also simple also to draw, but again, uh, the looking at the syllabus, uh, there is no chance that this will be asked. But let me explain this, because these are the popular shaping shapers. So you have a oil reservoir in which the oil is kept. Then constant discharge oil pump is mounted on this tank. That is, this is a oil reservoir or this is a oil tank. Constant discharge means the Q, that is the discharge will be same. Like say, if I talk say 200 meter cube per minute, that means it will supply 200 meter cube per minute. Then there is also variable discharge oil pump. So variable discharge oil pump means the outlet or the output will vary as per the cutting force. But most of the time, the constant discharge oil pumps are used. So the function of the oil pump is to suck the oil and to deliver this oil in this wall. Now this is a 3 by 2 wall. 3 by 2 wall. 3 by 2 wall means what? Sorry, this is 5 by 2 wall. 5 by 2 wall is nothing but it has 5 ports, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, as you can see in this diagram. So it has 5 ports and it has two position. So two position, one for forward movement, that is this, and another for return movement. Return movement. So it has two position. See, now these walls, the position of the walls is such, the position of the wall is such that it will not allow the oil to go from here. This, see, look at this. This is blocked. This position is blocked. So the oil will be sucked from here. Okay. The oil will reach here. Then from here, the oil will go to this part, uh, and it will push the piston in this direction, forward direction. And whatever oil is here, that will be returned to through this. See, now this opening and this opening is connected. Now this is the throttle wall. So throttle wall will be used for controlling the speeds. See, once if you control the volume, if you control the volume of the oil, the speed can be controlled, isn't it? Now same, so this is what is your forward stroke. This is what is your forward stroke. Now during the return stroke, what happens? The position of the wall is changed. How it is changed? It hits this dog. See, there is, these are mechanical dogs. Nowadays it is all PLC controlled. So we have electrically controlled solenoid valves. Okay, so, and we have sensors or we have limit switches which senses the position and alters the position of the valves. Mechanically, it hits the dog here, shaper dog. Moment it hits, this returns and it occupies the second position. So in the second position, what happens? The oil now will be pumped from here. Okay, and it will come to this side. I mean, in the second position, this wall will come here. This will come here. So since this comes here, okay, the oil will be pumped from here, Aisha, and whatever oil is here, that will return from this. So that time there will not be any oil flow from here. So this is how your hydraulic shaper will work. Only one position is shown here. Then how to calculate the cutting speed? So this is very simple here in shaping machine. So cutting speed is nothing but, speed is nothing but distance upon time. So cutting speed is nothing but length of the cutting stroke divided by the time taken by the cutting stroke. All right. Length of the cutting stroke divided by the time taken by the cutting stroke. And I told you that in case of shaping machine, the cutting speed, shaping machine bolo, planing machine bolo, or slotting machine bolo, the cutting speed is in the range of 7 meters per minute. 7 meters per minute. Whereas in case of lathe machine or drilling machine, The cutting speed is in the range of 20 to 25 meters per minute. 20 to 25 meters per minute. Here is one calculation for calculating the machining time. You can go through this. It is very simple, not at all complicated. I can give you one example. Like suppose the workpiece size is say 100 by 200. So obviously now 200 we will adjust in the stroke length. 200 will adjust in the stroke length, and 100 will be covered by the number of strokes. So if I am taking feed rate as 1 millimeter per double stroke, so the number of strokes will be 100. And if the cutting speed is 7 meters per minute, considering 7 meters per minute. Now first you have to calculate what is the, in any machining time calculation, you have to first calculate the machining length. What is the machining length? Now here, what is the machining length? Now your stroke length is say 200, approach is 2 mm, and departure is or overshoot is 2 mm. So the cutting length is 204. Now what is the number of strokes? Number of strokes is 100. So 100 forward stroke. So what is the time required? What is the machining length in forward stroke? 200, 204 rather into 100. And since the cutting speed is 7 meters per minute, so you'll have to divide by 7,000. So 200 multiplied by 100 divided by 7,000. So it will be 200 into 200 into 100. That will be how much? 2,000 divided by 7,000. So this will be cutting stroke time plus return stroke time will be half of. Like if the cutting stroke is taking 1 minute, the return stroke will be half a minute. Right? There is a formula given here, but there is no need to remember the formula. You can just do calculate by common sense only. Since this will not be asked, I am just running through it. These are the last 2 minutes. These are the various shaping operations here you can do, like machining of the horizontal surface. So this is surface which is being machined here. Then machining of the vertical surface, that is this. And similarly, you can do angular surfaces also. Okay, so that was shaping machine. Then next class will complete slotting machine and planing machine, and then we'll go for your finishing process. Finishing process, that is will cover grinding first, lapping, etc. So this is what the strategy for this week. So I'll be covering the entire portion in this week. I understand that uh, entire portion means there will be some portion left which can be covered up after test, but I will try to cover maximum, that is 95%. I already taken CNC which is not in this syllabus, which will be there in the next semester. Okay, and in the finishing process, first I will cover grinding and then we'll go for lapping, etc. So this is how the entire question bank for the unit test 2 will be covered. If you have any doubt, you please ask. Otherwise, you can be ready for your next class. Okay, thank you.